So I won't spend too long on the intro because the title is pretty self-explanatory, and also I already made a video on the no damage run, so I would just end up saying the same thing again. But basically all you have to know is that we can't take any damage, and since the game doesn't tell you the amount of HP you have, you kinda have to just assume what counts as damage. So for the sake of this run, let's just say that damage counts as whenever you get stunned by an enemy except for when you use a defense item. Also, here are the rules for the run. But before we can start the game, we get confronted with the choice whether we would like to play as Jill or Chris. And to see which one is the better choice, let's take a look at their advantages. Starting with Jill, she can hold more items than Chris. As a partner who gives her more ammo, early access to shotgun and even lets her skip an entire boss fight, early access to the assault shotgun which holds more shots and is more powerful than the normal shotgun, the grenade launcher which Chris never gets, and lastly a lockpick which allows her to instantly open 5 doors for which otherwise you would have to find 5 separate old keys. Moving on to Chris, he has a higher chance of getting a critical headshot which insta-kills a zombie, and also a flamethrower for like 5 minutes. But hold on a second, before you choose Jill, Chris has 2 more advantages. Chris gets more heals and also has more max HP than Jill. Oh wait a minute, I forgot this was a no damage run. Yeah, we're picking Jill. So we started the game by flying on a helicopter because we were trying to find the Bravo team, who at the time were resting in a case where people were getting eaten, so maybe it has something to do with that. We managed to find Bravo's team helicopter amidst the forest, but unfortunately it crashed and there's even a dead person inside. Shortly after, Joseph gets attacked by dogs and dies in the most brutal way possible. It was horrifying. That he failed a no damage run, like seriously. How stupid do you have to be? After a little bit of internal conflict, we realized that we're also gonna fail the no damage run if we don't get our asses moving, so we do, but the dogs are quick to follow. We tried to run towards the helicopter, but we forget that our pilot Brad has dementia, so he forgot that he was on a mission and flew away. All hope seemed lost, but just as we were about to die, we managed to find a mansion that looks very safe and is not a death trap whatsoever. We ran to the mansion only to realize that we somehow lost Chris, so he's probably dead. We hear a gunshot from another room, and with hoping that it's just Chris taking too many hallucinogens, we investigate it, but instead we find this. Our first enemy of the game, a zombie. We would have to raise our guns and kill it to avenge our fallen comrades and to wait Jill, what are you doing? No, come back, kill it, Jill, stop! After cowardly running away from the zombie and hiding behind Barry like a rat, he manages to take out the zombie and we go back to Wesker to report what happened. But turns out that Wesker is long gone. We go to the second floor to look for him, but then we realize we kind of don't feel like it, so we go back to Barry. Realizing that Wesker was nowhere to be found, because we didn't bother checking the second floor, we decide to following a horror movie protagonist's decisions is the best choice, so we decide to split up. But before we split up, Barry gives us a lockpick that can open some of the doors in this mansion. And we investigate the mansion and damn, I forgot how slow the main characters shoot in this game compared to the sequels. Like, you're the equivalent of a SWAT team, why do you shoot so slow? So we go outside and find a secret door in which we realize that to progress we need 4 different masks. And to find them, we grab a sword key which allows us to open several doors throughout the mansion. So we open the door, go past the hallway and into the bathroom. We drain the bathtub only to realize that there was a zombie inside. We managed to kill it, but unfortunately this causes us to fail the no throwing up run. It was terrible. After crying in the bathroom for approximately 2 hours, we get out of it more motivated than ever to get out of this mansion no matter the cost. Still furious from our loss, we charge into a room, grab the shotgun and get out of there. But this was a mistake. We get out of the room only to see that the ceiling is literally caving in. We beg for help and pray for a quick death, but luckily Barry hears our cries and rescues us.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
We thank Barry for his rescue and ignore the slightly sexist remark he makes. We decide to split up again because it has proven to be such a good idea with us almost dying. So we move onward, kill some zombies, and discover an important mechanic in the game. Whenever you kill a zombie, that doesn't mean they're actually dead yet, because after a while, they turn into this monstrosity. Why do I hear boss music? What the fuck is that? Holy shit, what the actual fuck? Get away from me, creep! So let's just ignore that happen, okay? If you don't want that to happen, there are two ways. You can either get a critical headshot, or after the zombie is dead, burn the body. But this requires 2 items, and also the kerosene is limited. But before we move on, we grab the dog whistle to get the armor key. Okay, look, I know I just explained the mechanic about burning zombies, but I have to explain another one, but I'll promise it'll be quick. Okay, so you know how when a zombie grabs you, he bites you and then you take damage? Well, in this game, there's actually a way to avoid getting bitten even if he grabs you. And all you need to find to avoid getting bitten is something called defense items. Basically what it does is if you have one equipped and an enemy grabs you, the main character will automatically use the defense item against the enemy, effectively blocking it, which means you don't get any damage. But there are 2 downsides to this. First of all, whenever a zombie grabs you from behind, you can't use a defense item even if you have one. And secondly, you can only use it if an enemy grabs you, which is pretty bad because literally every other enemy than zombies usually don't grab you to attack you, meaning you'll get damage without even having a chance to use the defense item. But aside from all that, it's actually a very good weapon and it doesn't even take up an inventory slot, so you might as well grab it when you see it. Having said that, we go to the balcony on the other side of the mansion and blow the dog whistle that we grabbed earlier. And you might be asking why I'm doing this, and it's because one of the dogs actually has an armor key in its collar, and killing the dog is the only way to take it. We have a little trouble with the dogs. Okay, maybe it was a bit more than a little. Okay, maybe I died a few times, but you know, so what? But I keep trying, and in one of my attempts, before the shooting animation can even finish, the dog jumps on me. Now you might think that this is the end for me, but this was actually a blessing in disguise. You see, thanks to the defense items I mentioned earlier, not only do I get to block the attack, I also managed to kill it. It wasn't over yet because the second dog was coming, but I managed to pretty easily stand up and quickly kill it before it can hit me. And don't worry, if you think I did actually take damage, there's wheat right next to the balcony, with which I interacted with, and it showed me that I don't need to do anything, which means that I had full HP. But after looking at the dog collar, you actually realize that the key is only an imitation of one and not the actual key. But don't worry, I found the actual key and we can just take it right out. So, just that picking up that key activated death trap and we are going to die in approximately 15 seconds. We think of what to do, and then we realize that the fake key that we got from the dog could actually be used instead of the real key and deactivate the death trap. And with this key acquired, we can open even more doors. In one of the rooms, we meet Richard, who's heavily wounded, and he says that the cause of the wounds is a poisonous snake. Richard, are you sure about that? Are you sure it wasn't a venomous snake, perhaps? Because if it was an actual poisonous snake, then the only way it could have harmed you is if you've eaten it. Did you eat the fucking snake, Richard? Because it doesn't look like that. It looks like it ate you. Realizing that the world would be better off without Richard, we leave him. But he tells us that if we get the serum to save him, he will give us his assault shotgun in return. We reluctantly agree and go get the serum while also grabbing the lighter. We go back to Richard and save him just in time. And while he doesn't give us his assault shotgun, he does give us a radio. Further down the hallway, we need to light the candles, find a secret room, bait the zombie, and then collect the score hidden inside. I know this is a very weird thing to risk our lives for, but trust me, it will be useful later on. I then went into a room with an aquarium to get the wind crest, which is needed for a weapon later on. But after getting the wind crest, a bee comes back to life and tries to kill you, and even though in the cutscene it is shown to be damaging you, it actually does not. We go into another room in which you grab a rocket launcher from this dead guy. And also, if you didn't know, this guy, Richard, and the dead guy that the zombie was facing on the beginning are all Bravo team members. And the rest of the rooms hold a mask for which you have to solve a puzzle for. For example, in this room you have to grab some herbicide and then pour it on whatever this thing is to kill it so that you can pass and grab the mask. And also, there's some weed on the other side, and the intention behind it is you need to know which way to pour the herbicide in, otherwise all the weed will wither and die. But since this is a no damage challenge, we don't need it, so... For the last mask, instead of just having to go to one room, you actually have to go to several, starting with the piano room. In the piano room, you have to play a song in order to open a hidden passage, which is why we grabbed the score earlier on. So we play the song. In there you find a golden emblem for which you have to switch with the other emblem back in the fire, because otherwise you'll get trapped. You put the golden one back where the other one was and activate a puzzle in which you have to metaphorically stab a guy to retrieve a key. But what's weird about this key is that it only opens one door, and that is the snake room, which makes you wonder how Richard got inside there in the first place, but whatever. So I open the door and encounter the snake, ready to face it, but then Richard comes out and helps me kill it. I grabbed the mask and chose to not run away since that would lead to Richard's death and also me not getting the assault shotgun. We ran around a little until Richard kills the snake, but unfortunately the snake was actually still alive, and in the last second Richard saved us.
Richard!
And I know, it's very sad that Richard died, but at least we get his assault shotgun, which holds 10 shots instead of 6, and is also more powerful. With the last mask acquired, we can finally progress, so we go into the graveyard and put all the 4 masks on the 4 faces. And when you use all the masks, a coffin drops down, and you're supposed to fight what's in it. Now, it's been a while since I played this game, and I thought this boss fight would take a little, so I brought a grenade launcher, shotgun, pistol, so I was a little surprised when he only took 4 shotgun bullets.
That's it?
Yeah, that was it. But whatever, you know. Only the more bullets for us, you know. And in return for that, we get an item that is described as a stone and metal object. That's it. It's just called stone and metal object. So you use the stone and metal object to open a door in which you go outside, but not outside the mansion, just the forest area, so that's sad. But then Barry proceeds to warn you about the monster in chains.
Ineffective! It's it! Stay away! Forest outside mansion! Stay! Hey!
You go in deeper, and then you hear some chains rustling and a scream. I don't know, guys, I think anything could happen. Like, it didn't have to be the same chained lady that Barry was talking about. Like, no, it does not. Why would it be? Why would it be? We go into a cabin, find a crank, and since it's a dead end, we go back. I don't know, guys, that door opening could have been anyone. Like, it's probably just Barry. Like, there's no way it's the woman in chains that Barry warned us about. There's no way. You're crazy. You're crazy for thinking that. You're paranoid, okay? Oh. So you wake up after being knocked unconscious, which didn't do any damage, by the way. You realize that the same monster that knocked you unconscious is also trying to currently kill you, but she's blocking the only way to the exit, so you run back. And all you need to do is wait for her near a ledge, and then when she jumps, you have to use the invincible frames you get while climbing to avoid her hit. You run out of the cabin and arrive at this graveyard in which there's a magnum, but the only problem is that it's being guarded by a bunch of crows. Usually this isn't a problem because they do very little damage, but since for us, even very little damage is considered a game over, this was gonna be tough. I tried to kill them all, I tried to do it as fast as possible, but it wasn't working. Until I realized that the crows actually don't attack you if you don't come close to them. So what I ended up doing is perfectly balancing in the middle of the road to not aggro any of the crows. At the end of the road there's a grave in which you can put a wind crest and then solve the puzzle to get the magnum. We go a little forward until we arrive at this pit filled with water, and apparently because bitch can't even swim, we can't cross. But good news, we can actually use the crank to drain the pit so that we can get across.
What is wrong with you? Why are you blue? Ugh.
You stumble onto what seems to be the living quarters. You also have to cover up this hole with a box because if you don't, you get fucking strangled by a plant. You hear Barry talking, saying how he doesn't want to betray the STARS team, but then when you go into a room, he says he's been talking to himself. Yeah, Barry, that was real trustworthy. I definitely believed every word you said. You were not suspicious at all. And then you have to do like a whole side journey to get a key to open the door, and you have to go back here. And when you come back here, a zombie spawns out of nowhere, and you also can't see him. Like, the only way I was able to know that he was there is because he was making noise. And in the same very room, if you do a little bit of investigating, you can find a secret ladder behind the bookshelves, which you can go down in. After moving boxes for like 3 minutes, you can finally move forward, and you come face to face with literal sharks. It's just sharks. Like, I think that the writers are just geniuses. Like, how else could you have come up with this? So because the sharks are faster than you when you run through, I decided to just kill them with the shotgun. This ends up taking a little too many tries, and after way too close to a cow, we finally do it and we get to this area. In this area you have to drain the water as fast as possible, otherwise the shark will kill you. This doesn't differ from a normal playthrough because in a normal playthrough you don't take any damage here either. After you drain the water, you go to get the key, only to realize that the giant shark is still alive, and if you go down to try to get the key, you will die. Now, even though this situation looks very dangerous, it's actually very easy. All you have to do is just push this thing down and then activate the electricity, and the shark is dead. The key leads to a room called Gallery, in which you slaughter some bees and get a key for another door. But before you go any further, we need to unlock this door with a keypad, because behind it is the key to skip in the next boss fight. Now, the way that you're supposed to get this code is you need to go to the spider room and light some candles to learn the code. But while the order changes, the number themselves in the code don't. So I just spammed the numbers and changed the orders, but surprisingly I didn't even need to do that because I got it first try. Then you're supposed to combine the needed mixtures to create V-Jolt, which will kill the plant, allowing you to skip the boss fight. I pour it on the roots and go into the boss fight area. When you enter the room, it seems like the plant is dying, but then it somehow magically comes back to life and tries to kill Jill by shaking her. Not very effective, but okay. Luckily for us, Barry comes in just in time and kills the plant with a flamethrower. Where he got the flamethrower from, I have no fucking clue, but I sure am glad he does, okay? In the furnace, there's a key used for the remaining locked doors in the mansion, so you have to go all the way back over there again, but on the way you find Wesker. He tells you that he's glad to find you, but that Barry has been acting very strangely. You agree and decide to go on a separate ways. Also, you find out that Wesker has been shooting bees. The easiest enemy to run by. Like, you can tell that I'm the only one who's killing the enemies. At this point, Wesker just wants to kill someone. Also, there's this one part where you have to run diagonally at the perfect time, otherwise you'll get hit by the two snakes that are waiting for you. And then you have to turn right at the perfect time, otherwise the third snake will hit you. On the first try, I make it past the first two snakes, but get hit by the third one, and on the third try, I manage to make it past all of them. You go back to the mansion, and you realize that you are fucked up, because a new enemy called Hunters are now after you. And the reason why they were so hard to deal with is because they were very fast, had a lot of HP, and could even insta-kill you. The insta-kill doesn't really matter, because we have it even worse since every attack is an insta-kill on a no damage run. The worst part is that they were all over the mansion, so you know it was gonna take us a couple of tries to defeat them all. But upon checking my inventory, I realized that I somehow forgot my shotgun, which means I had to travel to the nearest safe room to get it. The safe room, however, was blocked by a hunter, so I thought I had no chance of making it, but I somehow managed to miraculously dodge him and get inside. Anyways, the strategy I came up with is a very simple one, because all it is just shooting the hunters at the perfect time. Because if you shot too soon, then it wouldn't get stunned, but if you shot too late, then it would hit you. And you'd think that it's better to shoot on the later side, because you'll have more time. I mean, yeah, if it doesn't fucking jump towards you. And to deal with that, I would sometimes go behind their backs when they're on the floor so that they wouldn't be able to jump on me, but sometimes the hunters were too far away to do it, so you kinda have to just hope for luck here. After some cool dodges and a lot of skill and no luck, it was all skill, every single part, we succeeded in clearing all the hunters, and now time has come to do what we actually came here to do, which is to get a battery, a CD-ROM, 2 books, and lastly, a metal object. Not a stone and metal object, just a metal object. You start by having the genius idea of just falling down a hole, and there I found a journal about a dad who got trapped in the mansion and is slowly dying, and is regretting ever leaving his family. Also remember that last name. We also find one of the 2 books that we need, but since we can't climb back up from where we came in, we need to go deeper. We fight some spiders, bring back the electricity, and go up an elevator to find the battery that we need. After exploring some more, we find a library, in which we find out that we'll have to fight the snake that killed Richard. This boss fight is actually very easy, because there's a bookshelf for you to run around, which means that as long as you're patient, you can kill him very easily. The snake ends up rage quitting the game, and in his rage, he breaks the bookshelf, which conveniently gives us the last book that we need, which means that there's only one thing left to do. We need to go into this room with the light switch, where there are 2 diamonds hidden inside. One goes in the lion head, which is how you get the CD-ROM, and the other one goes into this box, which gets you this key, which goes into this room, which is how you get the metal object. Now, the problem with this is that while we have all the items that we could get from the mansion, we still can't proceed. Because we need to get into this basement, which requires 2 stone and metal objects, but all we have is 1 stone and metal object and just a metal object. So we need to find the stone ring before we can proceed. And what if I told you that the stone ring was behind this waterfall? Which is the reason why we grabbed the battery. Because Jill just refuses to cross it. She couldn't swim through it, now she can't even walk through it. Oh, but don't forget, standing waist deep in the water. No, that's fine, that's completely fine. Why would you think that not be fine? Like, come on. The battery that we brought can fix the elevator and take us to the water pit. We move the crank, and now, instead of being blocked, we can just go back through the elevator that we fixed. We arrive at the bottom and find that the waterfall that once was is now no longer. This is symbolism for how Jill got over her depression by twisting cranks. Behind the waterfall you find a mineshaft and another member of the Bravo team, Enrico. He seems almost dead, and to our horror, he says that there has been a traitor this whole time. But before he can say anything else, he gets shot, and the perpetrator runs away. Guys, I have no idea who the traitor could be. No clue about it whatsoever. I don't know, maybe it was the guy who literally said he was going to betray the Stars team? I don't know, guys, this is tough. After Enrico dies, we search his pockets for any loose change, and luckily, we find another crank. When we try to go back, a hunter blocks our path, but he spends so much time screaming at you that you can literally just run right by him. In the next room, you can use the hunter's jump to your advantage and run under him when he performs the move and get to the exit. We use the crank to make a path, run from a boulder, and arrive at the next boss fight. The spider is pretty easy, because you don't even have to fight him, all you have to do is just slash away the cobwebs on the door. The key is to not get too greedy, otherwise the boss spider will kill you, but also to not take too much time, because if you do, the spiders that spawn like every 30 seconds will eventually group up and it will be very hard to dodge them. And because I am such a professional, I managed to clear out this room on my first try. On the other side, you run away from another boulder, do a simple puzzle, and finally get some cylinder part. Okay, where the fuck is the stone ring? The cylinder part is actually used to repair another elevator all the way back where Enrico was, which means we have to go through the spider room again. There's a chance that upon entering the room, the spider will immediately ram you and damage you, but fortunately that did not happen. We fix the elevator, and just as we're about to go down, we find Barry and he joins us. When we use the elevator, Barry offers to stay back
I'll stay
and
here and
secure the escape route in case there's any danger. Barry, I know you're just scared, okay, you can admit it, I won't judge. We go forward to investigate, but find the monster in chains again. So we run back in terror, but just as we're about to arrive at the elevator, Barry bails on us. How could this happen? The guy who said he would betray the Stars team betrays the Stars team? But we can't dwell on that now. There has to be an exit somewhere. We look everywhere and eventually find a crate. We break it, and inside we find a flamethrower. Now we can defeat the monster once and wait, it's broken. Well, that doesn't matter, because we can use the flamethrower to activate this mechanism and open the door. We run away from some snakes and finally find the damn stone ring. But nearside the stone ring, we also find some notes that were written by the monster. And turns out that the monster that's been chasing us was actually just a little girl that's been injected with the virus made by the Umbrella Company. And this very same company also made the virus that turned everyone into zombies. Ever since she's been infected, she's been trying to find her mother, but she can't, because the mother died a long time ago. And her father is also the author of that diary we found earlier, which means her whole family died, and she has no idea. We don't let this discourage us and make it all the way to the end of the path, which leads back to the cabin. We head back to the mansion and put the 2 objects and enter the basement. We meet Barry again, and he tries to shoot us, but we quickly grab the gun out of his hands and turn it on him. He reasons with us, saying that we don't understand and that he didn't want to do it. Unfortunately, our interrogation is cut short by Lisa. Barry begs for his gun, and we are given a choice, whether to give the gun back or not. Now, even though he betrayed us, we can't ignore the multiple times he saved us. And if he truly wanted us dead, he would have never done that. So we give him back the gun and get ready to fight. There are 2 ways to defeat this boss. You can either push her off the ledge, or push the 4 stone pillars off the platform. I chose to do the latter because it seemed more easier. I pushed the first 2 stone pillars off, waited for Barry to shoot the boss so I can run faster, and pushed off the final 2 stone pillars. This causes the coffin of the mother to open up, and when Lisa finds her mother, she jumps off the ledge, bringing an end to her story. Unless you play some spin-off game called Umbrella Chronicles. Even though this was terrifying to think about, considering she literally killed herself, we had to move on. Also, after the boss fight, Jill just kind of forgets that Barry tried to kill her and doesn't question him. We head on forward, and this is where the 2 books that we found earlier come into play, because they each have a medal inside them, which we need to put into the fountain to open it. And in it, we find a laboratory, which is the last section of this game. You kinda just go from room to room until you reach the laboratory key, but in this section there are 3 kind of important things that I will tell you. First is that Wesker literally has a photo of him working in the lab, so I don't know guys, he could be a traitor. There's just a tiny little chance that he could be a traitor. Just a tiny one. And secondly is that a guy named John addressed a letter to Ada about how she has to reveal the secrets of Umbrella, which is the very same Ada that appears in Resident Evil 2. And finally is that you have to get 2 more CD-ROMs from the section and then put them into the 3 different stations around the lab. This isn't necessary to do, but if you don't do it, you'll get the bad ending, and I chose to get the good one. With the laboratory key acquired, you find an elevator, but it doesn't have power, so you have to go to the engine room in order to turn it on. And in here, you meet the final enemy type of this game, the Chimeras. Which, not the name I would give to them, but you know, whatever suits you. This enemy is basically what Umbrella got when they mixed the DNA of a human and a fly. They're not really that hard to deal with and are definitely easier than the hunters. To restore the power, first you need the fuel that the generator uses. We grab the capsule, we head to the other room and put the fuel in the capsule. And no matter what you do, you cannot run until you put the capsule back at its place, because not only will you get damaged, you'll also die. After a very slow tour of the lab, we arrive and put the capsule back. But we're not done yet. We also have to go to this terminal and activate the power. With the elevator being activated, we press the button, and conveniently, Barry shows up, so we head on down with him. We meet Wesker, and turns out that he was the traitor this whole time. What? The guy who wears shades at night mysteriously disappeared, shoots at bees, and literally has a photo of him working here, is the traitor? Guys, that was such subtle foreshadowing. The writers are genius. This game, 10 out of 10, best game in the world. Anyways, Wesker reveals that the reason why Barry tried to betray us is because Wesker would kill his family if he didn't listen. And that the reason why he lured the STARS team into the mansion is because he wanted to gather the combat data of the team and to create a perfect life form, the Tyrant. After this, Wesker tries to kill Jill, but Barry, realizing that he shouldn't give in to Wesker, shoots him. Unfortunately, we take our eyes off Wesker too soon and he releases the Tyrant, which immediately backfires on him.
What? Premature.
Barry acts like a fucking moron and runs right at the Tyrant, which obviously leads to him getting hit and knocked unconscious. But it doesn't matter. If Barry failed the no damage run, doesn't mean I have to. So we get ready to fight and kill it. So when Wesker called this guy the perfect life form, I think he meant perfectly safe, because this guy is very easy to defeat. All you have to do is just stay your distance and not get too greedy. After defeating the Tyrant, we wake Barry up and get the hell out of there. But to our dismay, we hear the self-destruction sequence activating, which was somehow activated by Wesker. Before we leave, we check behind the door that was opened with the 3 CD-ROMs and find Chris. He tells us that since his disappearance, he's been locked in this jail cell by Wesker and was waiting for rescue. We open the door and get out of there to the helipad. We hear that we only have 3 minutes until the self-destruction, so Barry and Chris stay behind to fend off the enemies while Jill calls for help. We head on up, use the signal rockets, and pray that someone sees us. Chris and Barry come back, and we meet the consequences of our actions. So remember how we chose to give the gun back to Barry? Well, because of that, the final boss fight of this game appears, which is the second phase of the Tyrant. The Tyrant somehow manages to knock out Chris. Literally everyone except us failed the no damage run. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. The Tyrant walks over to Barry and we start the boss fight. I thought that, the final boss fight of this game was gonna be a little hard, but plot twist, it wasn't. Though with the kind of plot twist that this game has, I probably should have expected that. And that's because he only has one attack if you don't come close to him, which you can easily dodge by just running to the left or to the right of him. After shooting him a couple of times, Brad notices us and finally does something useful by dropping us the rocket launcher. So we pick it up and finally kill the tyrant. We fly away in the helicopter just before the mansion explodes, and we realize that it's finally over. As you can see on the end result, I used 0 health items, and also somehow got a new game plus weapon. This challenge was actually way easier than I expected, because unlike in Resident Evil 2, where it actually had a challenge in final boss fight, in this game, all of the boss fights were very easy. Even though this challenge was pretty easy, I still had fun, because I haven't played this game in a very long time, and I definitely do not regret revisiting it. If you liked the video, please subscribe, and bye.